everybody, it is I, Brian the Pirate, and today I'm actually spoiling you with two videos. The first video, the one you're watching now, is going to cover weapon swapping and what it means, how to utilize it, and how to access all the various systems that are actually in Path of Exile 2 that are actually connected to weapon swapping, because it's not very well explained in the game, unfortunately. I was recently playing a witch hunter and utilizing the weapon master node in the Ascendancy, and I got a lot of new players coming up to me going, how does weapon swapping work? Like, how do I utilize it? How do I allocate skills to it? You know, how does any of it actually connect? So I thought, well, I should probably just make a video to best explain it for people to reference to in the future. And I also wanted to make a second part to this, I suppose you could call it a series, because when it came to the witch hunter and the weapon master node, where you get 100 extra weapon set skill points, things get a little bit more complicated. And you may hear that and go, wait, 100? Does that mean I can dual spec? Yes, no, me, well, kind of. But for now, let's cover the basics. So what is weapon swapping? Weapon swapping is when you've got these two tabs here where you can have two sets of different weapons equipped at the same time. Usually you may have a main hand and an offhand, or maybe a two-handed weapon like a staff, for example. I've got a chiming staff that provides sigil of power in my second weapon set. Sometimes you may want to have two different types of crossbows, maybe one that's good with grenades, another one that's good with firing bolts and things like that. There's a multitude of possibilities, and the reason you would want that is because those items, more often than not, are going to be geared towards benefiting one specific thing. So, for example, I've got a paralyzing staff here. I've been doing some experimentation for another build that I'm doing, where I've got +7 to all lightning skills. So if I was using lightning skills on this build, I would want an item like that that could benefit those skills in particular. But then I might have some fire skills, or in this case, I've got chaos skills. So maybe I'd want in another weapon set something that gives me extra skills or extra damage to chaos abilities or chaos spells. And I could then swap between them as and when I'm going to use the relevant spell. Now, back in Path of Exile 1, Diablo 2, and a few other games where you have weapon swapping, you have to do this manually by pressing a hotkey. In this case, it's X on your keyboard. That's quite clunky. And it's why in Path of Exile 1, the weapon swap feature was pretty much neglected by players. The only time it was really utilized is you'd have your main damage dealing weapons in weapon set 1, and then some people would use in weapon set 2 a culling support gem and a rare magic find gem. And then what you'd do is you'd fight a boss, you'd murderate it with your usual weapon set, and then just as it's about to die, you'd press X, use whatever ability you've got connected to culling strike or culling support, and then likewise the magic find support, and then it would just die a little bit quicker, and you get the magic find boost, so hopefully some better items. Outside of that, because of the clunkiness involved, not many people really used it. However, in Path of Exile 2, they've streamlined the system, and not just streamlined it, but perhaps ironically expanded on what they've streamlined and added additional systems to tie in with it. And it really allows you to properly min-max the hell out of your build and really optimize what damage output you can do with your varying skills. One of the ways they've improved the system is essentially through automation. So instead of going, oh, I'm about to cast my fire skill, I better swap to my second weapon set, and then it will equip the fire-based items to utilize with that fire spell, you can just tell the game to do that for you, and it will do it instantly. So if we bring up the skill screen, let's go to Essence Drain, for example. My camera's probably in the way, so let me just quickly move that. Let's pop myself across there temporarily. So when you expand any of like the stat screens for your abilities, you'll notice in this bottom corner you've got these checkboxes, and these relate to which weapon set you're going to utilize. So let's pretend this isn't a summoning scepter, or a minion scepter. Let's pretend it's a chaos wand, and it's got +2 chaos spells and plus damage to chaos damage. I would want to make sure that whenever I use Essence Drain and Contagion, that this set is specifically what is used. Then, in my second weapon set, I've got Sigil of Power. Now, because Sigil of Power is provided by the staff, it automatically selects it. In fact, you can see it here. That's what's being utilized. But let's say I'm using... I've also got some fire skills. Technically, they convert to chaos with this build, but we'll pretend otherwise. Let's say this is actually a fire staff, and it gives me plus fire spell abilities. I could go to Incinerate and say only utilize weapon set 2 because it gets additional damage for it, for example. Then when I cast Essence Drain, it would automatically swap, as you may have saw there, to the relevant item. So as an example, I use Incinerate, it goes to weapon set 2, or if I use Sigil of Power, then when I use Essence Drain, it goes back. Sigil of Power, Essence Drain. It automatically switches between the weapon sets that you have allocated to those skills. Again, meaning that you can allocate items that are specific to benefiting those skills. Increased fire damage for fire skills, increased cold damage for cold skills, chaos damage for chaos skills, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. Some of the other ways you can utilize it, in my case, is when I use Sigil of Power, that in itself is a damage boost. I don't want to keep spamming it, however. I want it to last for as long as possible and cover as wide an area as possible. So what I can do is make sure that stuff that would benefit those two criteria are on the items if possible, but also I can do something with the passive skill screen. So for example, when I'm in weapon set 1, I can actually allocate relevant passives to weapon set 1. In this case, it's when I'm using minions, so I want minions allocated in weapon set 1. Then in weapon set 2, as I said, I want the Sigil of Power to last for as long as possible. So here we've got increased skill effect duration. So I've selected weapon set 2. I allocate those. You can see it's in green rather than in red or in like the golden white. And we can apply those. Meaning now, when I'm in weapon set 2, it will automatically select weapon set 2 nodes, which are these ones here and these ones here. But then when I swap to weapon set 1, either by casting a skill that automatically changes it, or if I do so manually like now, it will unallocate those skills and then allocate whatever has been assigned to weapon set 1, and vice versa. Again, optimizing and min-maxing, getting full potential out of whatever your intended purpose is for those skills or weapon sets. A lot of people, for the most part, you will commonly see using curses, so they'll get loads of nodes that increase curse magnitude or curse effect, area of effect, so the curse covers a wider area, skill duration, so the curse lasts longer. That's one of the more common things that you tend to see. As I said, if you're using crossbow skills, you may, towards the bottom of the tree, want to set weapon set points that benefit grenades with one crossbow, and then benefit bolts and reload speeds with another crossbow. There's a whole plethora of like ways you could utilize it and properly min-max, and it gives you a lot more freedom for creativity, and it's particularly potent this season or this league in 0.3 because it's now instant. In prior seasons there was a little bit of an animation and it was a bit horrible, but they've made it instant, and now it's quite magnificent. So that is basically how you utilize weapon set weapon sets and weapon set passives and weapon set skills. It all links together. It's all automated. You just got to make sure you know what you're looking for, and then you could really, really min-max your build, and it's fantastic. Then, in my next video, I'm going to be covering the Witch Hunter and the Weapon Master node. You get an additional 100 points with that node, rather than just the standard 24 that you get with regular classes. It's quite an exciting prospect, but it's also quite a confusing one. So if you want to hear more about that, I've linked the video in the description down below. Whilst you're down there, maybe give this video a like, because it helps with the algorithm gods like quite a bit actually. And if you're not subscribed, perhaps do that while you're down there as well, because you get to see more helpful videos and some of the memey builds that I'm coming up with, including this one that I've got on screen at the moment and a bunch of others that I've got coming up in the future. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Farewell. I'll remember you.